Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would go ahead and make a video specific to a question that I've had several people ask me. This is way outside of my normal informative rotation. I have like 80 of them ready to upload. But I've had a lot of people with the situation going on say, hey, I've got a home gym, but I'm in an apartment, I'm not on the first floor. What can I do to build or maintain my deadlift without actually doing the deadlift? And I'm going to give you guys a couple of solutions here. I'm going to give you the easy solution, and then I'm going to give you the more complex solution. Okay, first of all, the lifts that will build your deadlift up the easiest are going to be squatting, rowing, and in particular, the good morning. Here's what I'm going to say. If you're doing your normal training, you're doing your squatting, everything else, and you get really strong at good mornings. And keeping in mind, good mornings, when I say really strong, it's still going to be a lightweight. All right, it's going to be a very lightweight. Do tons and tons and tons of good mornings. I'm talking about 10 or 12 sets a week, especially if you can't deadlift. Use a variety of rep ranges, 10s, 15s, 20s. Obviously, we don't really want to go under 10 unless you're going to do them for maxes. And even for those of you who are doing conjugate, you can do good mornings as your max effort rotation. Because I think people need to remember, I generally recommend conjugate training. You can do good mornings as max effort work. Now, if you get really strong at good mornings, particularly if you build a good base with, say, box squats and rows also, your deadlift will go up. Now, your grip's going to be an issue, so here's what I'm going to say. Do your normal training, you do the good mornings with lots of volume to build all the muscles up of the deadlift, and then do lots and lots of grip training. It would behoove you to get an axle bar like I've got there, some fat grips, do lots of rows that way. If you don't have pinch blocks like I have, you can learn to do plate pinches. Learn to start grabbing stacks of 2 or 3, 5, and 10 pound plates. And for a lot of you, that's 2.5 and 5 kilos, depending on where you live, and pinch them together. Right, do plate pinches. Get to where you start doing 3 10-pound plates held together in your hand, in one hand, and just pinch them as hard as you can and hold them. You're going to need to do a lot of grip work. Some captains of crush grippers, because you're not getting your heavy deadlifting in, you're going to need the grip work. And that's going to be the main things. Grip and good mornings will build your deadlift. Okay, that will build it up. Rowing and squats will help also. I mean, if you got really strong at back squats and really strong at rows, you would still have a respectable deadlift, particularly rows off the floor. The other option that you have is to do speed pulls. You see me doing speed pulls up on some of this. With speed pulls, you could put mats down on the floor. You could put 1-inch thick rubber or EVA foam down. You could deadlift on it, and since you're not going heavy, you can control the eccentric to some extent. You're not going to crash it into the floor. You're not going to crash it into the floor. Because speed pulls will build your deadlift up. So what you could end up doing is a normal conjugate method where you have squats and box squats and things is most of your max effort work. You could do some good mornings in there for max effort work, and then do your speed box squats and your speed pulls. Do your speed pulls. Notice how much easier that is on the floor when you see me doing speed pulls? You could do conjugate this way. Is it ideal not being able to do heavy pulls from the floor? No. Not ideal. But it would work. It would work. And again, you're going to have to make heavier use of good mornings. And that's also the case where different bars and some chains or bands or whatever can come in handy. Now, I'm going to say people who are worried about noise in an apartment, chains may be out. But bands aren't. You get 2 different barbells and do band work. You have your normal bar, consider getting a safety squat bar. In fact, the safety squat bar would behoove you also. It would help you a lot. It carries over to the deadlift better in general, especially for your squats. You could do a lot of box squatting with the safety bar. So you have that, and then you have bands, all right? You can have raw pin good mornings and the other barbell, and then you can have the same ones with bands. even if it's just a single band tension. All right, that gives you 4 good mornings, so 4 hip hinge max effort exercises, along with your speed pulls. Okay, you could build your deadlift off all that. You're going to have to do extra grip work, but if you look at it in that context, let's say you run an 8-week max effort rotation. Right, 4 different good mornings, done for max triples in that case. That's the one time when we advocate max triples instead of singles, with 4 different forms of squats. Okay, then you can do speed boxes and speed pulls, which again on matting to cushion the sound and the blow. Obviously control the eccentrics on the speed pulls. And we have a solution, right? You could conjugate this up and still build a very respectable deadlift. There's no reason a lot of you can't build over a 500-pound deadlift doing that without having practiced a deadlift. And if you want to practice a deadlift every now and then, you could borrow a friend's home gym or find a gym that's open eventually down the road and come in and practice some deadlifts just to see where you are, to test your conventional deadlift or your sumo deadlift. But the thing to remember here is that good mornings are going to be the key, right? The good morning is going to be your bread and butter. It's going to be your bread and butter, no matter which direction you go, whether you try to take it very simplistic, because I'm going to assume you might be more of a noob and you're not ready for conjugate. But the other thing I'm going to say here is that if you're not a noob, I don't know why you guys aren't doing conjugate. I mean, I've put forward one hell of an argument for it. It's not as hard to program as you guys think it is. I'll continue to make more videos on how to program it. In fact, conjugate works reasonably well at home with minimal equipment. I'm going to have other videos coming out showing how little equipment you need, the things that will really matter. But really the only thing you're not going to be able to do in the environment that people are describing, particularly like a second floor apartment, you're not going to be able to do heavy deadlifts. Whether your concerns are the structural integrity of the building or your concerns are going to be the neighbors downstairs, which are both potentially valid concerns. I'm going to say disturbing people is a larger concern. Because honestly, unless you're missing deadlifts and it's slipping out of your hands, you shouldn't be crashing through a ceiling. The building is not up to code if you are. But again, the repeated use of it, the repeated dropping would be the concern over time. So I get that, but mainly it's got to be about neighbors. I mean, missing a 500-pound deadlift or dropping it hard on someone's ceiling, yeah, that's going to get you serious noise complaints if you're in an apartment. I get people who ask me that online. It's like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm in a ground floor condo. These are not apartments. Who would people complain to? They can complain to the homeowners association. There is no management. But in my case, there's nothing to complain about. It's louder outside during my training hours than it is inside where I'm training. But I'm on a ground floor condo. I have an 8-foot concrete slab under me. So that's a little bit different. So I do get people who ask me about that in my case, and it's not applicable. But a lot of you it is, especially because everyone's going to be training at home now. And I think that's what this whole event has taught everyone. You can't rely on gyms to stay open. And unless you're going to a hardcore powerlifting gym, most gyms don't have anything special. What do they have, a bunch of machines? They have some machines. Well, most of you aren't using that many machines if you're serious about lifting. Most people are going to be able to use basic free weights and get everything that they possibly need. So it comes over to that point of, for a lot of people, you know, maybe a $1,500 home gym, unless you have pretty serious needs, is probably going to be all that most people would need. And you start adding that up to travel time to the gym, cost of gym memberships, right? Waiting on equipment. There's time constraints. Time is money. You know, going to a gym could end up costing you an extra hour every workout of your life that you could be getting at home just due to the transit times waiting on equipment. So I get it. We're at that point to where after these events have happened, it makes sense. Most people who are serious are at least going to have a home gym of some type. because you can build whatever you need. I've showed you guys what all you can do with a home gym if you want to go to the farthest extremes. Just some people are in different living arrangements than others. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.